We're back. It's Wednesday. We're back and it's Wednesday. Very exciting. I say that every time. Why am I so excited to be here? I don't know. Okay. Morning, zombie. First one in the chat coming through from Twitch. Chip on screen. What's happening? Oh, yeah. This is like almost a Friday thing because I'm not here tomorrow. But then I'm back on Friday. And then I'm here on the weekend. So I don't know what this is. Hey, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service, and this is Ask a Traffic Cop, that show on the internet that allows me the opportunity to answer your traffic and police questions. We are currently broadcasting on a bunch of different places. Let me explain what's happening. We're on TikTok, YouTube, Twitch, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Kick, and the platform formerly known as Twitter, now referred to as X, even though I said it backwards yesterday. If you want to ask us questions, you can do that anywhere but X. That's where you should go to trafficcop.ca and click the link to join us on YouTube or any one of our other platforms that allow you to actually be heard. Because that's a problem in some places. Twitter doesn't work yet. It's been a long time. Like since they got rid of Periscope, it's been a really long time. Emma, good morning. First one on the TikTok chat. How are you? Hope you're doing well. Thanks for popping in. And of course, not just popping in. You come here, you spend time, you help out, and I really appreciate you. Okay, we have Mike Harris, who's in on Instagram, and it isn't Valentine joined. Okay, we've got folks popping in everywhere on different platforms. It is good to see you. What I do every morning when I start out, it is to discuss Vision Zero Enforcement Team, and what can I tell you about them? Oh, I'm going to tell you that they are out there making a difference, one ticket at a time. They are enforcing the Highway Traffic Act, making the roads safer for everyone involved. And how do they do that? Well, they go to different areas based on the direction of our analysts, and they spend time there enforcing the laws. You know, what laws do they choose? Well, they focus on those things that are known to lead to serious injury and death more often than not. That is what we refer to as the Big Four. It's speeding, aggressive driving, distracted driving, and impaired driving. And they're doing that today in 52 Division and 41 Division. Those are the neighborhoods of Kensington, Chinatown, Bay Street Corridor, Dorset Park, Kennedy Park, Birchcliff, Cliffside, neighborhoods where real people live, work, and play. Now, if it looked like I was reading, I was looking at our Traffic Services Twitter page, which you can find at Traffic Services on Twitter, well, formerly known as Twitter, now X. And we post every morning where the Vision Zero Enforcement Team is spending time. That is so you, the people who live in this wonderful city, can find out that we're there making a difference. People question why we actually post it as opposed to make it a secret. Some have even suggested to just delay that information. Well, we figure the people who are breaking laws aren't focused on, how to avoid being caught, other than they're making these brazen decisions to break the law. They're probably not that invested in not breaking the law, which is what you need to do everywhere you go. You're never allowed to speed. You're never allowed to drive aggressively. You're never allowed to drive distracted, and you're never allowed to drive impaired. Actually, I take that back. There is one time you're allowed to technically drive distracted, and that is when you're making an emergency call to 911. You're allowed to actually pick up your telephone and use it if you don't have Bluetooth or a connected opportunity. But who doesn't have that anymore? More often than not, we're at a stage now when the majority of motor vehicles on the road have at very least Bluetooth. And you know what? If you don't have Bluetooth, a Bluetooth earpiece. Can you wear headphones or AirPods or whatnot when you're driving? Legally, you can. Is there a question as to whether that's a good idea? Yeah, a lot of people discuss it and argue that it's not safe to wear headphones. But guess what? You don't have to actually be able to hear in order to drive. Hearing's not a requirement under the Highway Traffic Act. You don't have to take a hearing test. You take a vision test. So there you go. Would we like you to be able to hear sirens? Sure. Would I like to be able to hear screeching tires as someone's losing control and I might have that early warning to get out of the way? Sure. But it's not required legally. You are required to pull out of the way. But you know what? Not only do sirens make noise, but sirens have flashing emergency lights in addition, and you can actually get out of the way when you see those because you're paying attention. You're looking at your mirrors. All right, moving on. Randy McNaught, good morning, brother. Hope all is well from London, Ontario. Well, I hope everything's well by you, but everything is peachy here. It's Wednesday, and I'm in a good mood. I don't know if it's because I slept more than I fell asleep in the rocking chair last night. I didn't do any routine stuff. Like I got woken up. I was told to go to bed. So I got more sleep than normal. So I'm cheerier than normal. Can you tell? Why did Zombie says I'll never be first again? Why? Because you got called out as being first? No, it's good to be first. We say that early is on time is late, and late is unacceptable. So you are in a good position as the first person in the room. Tim Shallow says good morning. Zombie says the Chevy Equinox is famous for Bluetooth problems. Is that one that you have? I'm not familiar with the Equinox. I can't claim to know or understand. I will tell you one platform or car that I'm really audio centric in that I really notice. I'm not an audiophile, but I really pay attention to sound. It's a big deal for me. That's why I have this microphone and not that microphone. I like this microphone, and I have a bit of a microphone addiction. I have a lot of different microphones. I test them. I like them. But I use this one the most because now that I have it, I don't understand why I own any others. Moving on. When I speak to other people on the telephone, and I can totally just notice and pick out when they have wideband audio enabled on their cell phone. I can tell if their Bluetooth device is good, bad, or otherwise. My buddy Brian Max is testing some new earbud headphones. We were discussing what it sounds like. One car sounds worse than all others, it seems, and it's the Tesla. I have not had a good conversation with somebody on Bluetooth whilst driving a Tesla. And I mean when they're driving a Tesla. I don't drive a Tesla. But it just sounds tinny. It doesn't have good audio. And I don't know why. I don't know if it's because it's sibilant area, because you're talking into a big window. I don't know if it's just poor microphones or they don't have a good microphone array. Whatever it is, it's suboptimal. Elon, if you're watching, you've been told. And I mean in the nicest way. I'm giving you constructive feedback. Better Bluetooth is necessary on the Tesla. And he's in a Model X. But I've spoken to people in Model 3s. I just never had a good conversation with a Tesla driver whilst on Bluetooth. All right, moving on. Johnny Nguyen says, good morning, Sean. Is that a bowl of soup or a cup of it's coffee? I didn't make coffee when I got here. I did have a very, very, very big coffee in the drive-thru this morning. So maybe that's why I'm so cheery. Okay. The reason for Zombie's early arrival is because of a workout that was delayed by an unhappy baby. Okay, first question coming in from TikTok. And I will tell you that TikTok is not something I generally monitor directly. Maybe I should be monitoring directly, but I'm not generally monitoring it directly because I'm looking at a different screen. I do, however, have a magical, what just happened here? I do have a magical individual, a producer who is taking your questions from TikTok and moving them over to the other platform so I can see it and put it on screen. I will say this, if you're watching on TikTok, and same goes for those who are watching on Instagram, please tap that screen, send the hearts, do the thing, so that you can tell the algorithm that you like the show. I can't see how many likes we have, but I imagine that it will be more if you tap your screen feverishly and share the live. Send it to people. It doesn't matter what platform you're on. If you are able to do that for me, I would appreciate it. It tells more people that they should be here listening to what we have to say. And what we have to say is the answer to the questions that they have. But I can't tell you, so many people watch our content on the dailies, like they watch our whatever we post, but they had no idea that we do lives. And maybe I need to put more advertising out because I put it on most platforms, but I stopped doing the everyday, hey, we'll be here at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. And because we do this RTMP streaming, I no longer put on the adverts that's where it reminds people and they can put it in there. It doesn't work the way I think the way it used to work, and maybe that's one of the reasons we have fewer people recently. Like since we started doing our TMP, we used to have like 16 to 40,000 people come into a live. Now we have about 3 to 5, maybe 6,000 people in a live. Anyway, moving on. Questions from TikTok get put over, and I will be answering them on screen. And the first one comes in from Earl Manabat. And I'll answer that while everybody's busy forwarding, retweeting, sharing, subscribing, liking, all that stuff. Okay, Earl says, is it required to do Police Foundations College before getting into the police force? Okay, we'll start off with employment questions first. And the answer to the question is no, it's not required. Is it a good idea? Anything post-secondary, anything continuing education is a positive thing to do. And I would totally suggest doing it. Where'd all my other tabs go? That's weird. I had an employment tab up. Let's do that again. I'll pull up the employment tab. And the deal is, hey, good morning. Are you joining?
I can.
You should.
I have time.
Oh, when you have time, it is a good thing. I'm moving over to make space for Sergeant Campbell, who's going to join us.
I didn't want to stop you talking about
No,
Toronto Police.
the question is, should you go to Police Foundations College before applying or getting into the force? And I'm discussing requirements versus like, you know, other things. So I always say that if you are an accountant, you've gone to get your education for accounting, slide over, then that's what you should get, and it makes you a better or even a unique applicant who brings different skills and abilities to the party. Having everybody take police foundations, it's a tick in the box, it's education. But having a wide variety of skills and abilities makes us a more diverse employer. So definitely you can go and you can get whatever interests you, whatever you're going to excel at. And certainly it doesn't hurt to have police foundations.
Absolutely. But most of the things that you're going to learn in police foundations, you're going to learn it on the Ontario Police College and the Toronto Police College. If you want to get a little bit of head start, that you want to get good marks, that may be the way to do it. If you're not really sure about policing and you want to know more about it, that may be a good way to do it. But like Sean said, we would rather have a very diverse background of people that we can rely on to make up this whole great big organization that we've got. I know people that are computer programmers. They do a fantastic job in specific fields in policing or in general because they have knowledge that that some others don't.
Well, a good example for this, for me, is me. Like, I came in from sales. I was a real estate agent. I was a computer guy. I worked in the computer industry for a long time. And I came in, and I'm now using my ability to speak with people, my ability to use cameras and computers. Like, I'm using all the skills I brought with me before becoming a police officer. No one sat me down at the police college and says, first, we're going to talk about live streaming. So
I think in your previous life, you were like on the radio or TV or something.
it's entirely possible.
Yeah.
Entirely possible. My previous life. So minimum requirements, because we'll get that out of the way. Canadian citizen or permanent resident of Canada, 18 years or older, physical and mental ability to perform, physically and mentally able to perform the duties of the position, having regard to your own safety and the safety of members of the public, successfully completed at least 4 years of secondary school education or its equivalent, good moral character and habits, meaning that you're an individual that other people view as being trustworthy or having integrity.
That's a big one.
Yeah, integrity's huge. And then there's stuff that you can't, technical things. No criminal convictions where a pardon has not been granted. Valid driver's license with no more than 6 accumulated demerit points that allow you to drive an automobile in Ontario with full driving privileges. CPR first aid, OACP certificate, hearing standards, vision standards, security clearance is a requirement, and physically able to achieve stage 7 on the shuttle run and pass the prep test, physical readiness evaluation for police. Now, the reason I read all those is because none of them say you must take police foundations, and that was really the whole reason I did that. Okay, that being said, just because we're hiring police officers doesn't mean that we're only hiring police officers. We have special constables who do a whole bunch of different things throughout the city, parking enforcement officers, communications operators, and in a plethora of different jobs available in the civilian side of things. I won't put it on screen because it's the same as yesterday, but we are looking for an intermediate QA analyst, and that is someone who works in the IT risk management quality assurance section. It is a job that is closing. We have job postings. They have a limited availability date, and this one is closing on September 1st. So if you go to the website, tps.ca/careers, you can read all about it, see if it's good for you, and if it's good for you, maybe you're good for us, and you should consider applying.
And a really good salary there, too.
Not bad. $84,603 to $95,711. I guess it's depending on your experience and qualifications, but that's the range that the service pays for this particular job. Not a bad way to go, I think. Let's see here. We'll go back into some questions because questions are what we're all about. Oh, Akela Dracona says greetings and salutations. We have Monkey with a question, and Magi Contour, I don't know how to say that. Can I practice driving in a parking lot with a G1? A G1 license, if you're supervised by a qualified driver, that's someone who has 4 years experience and a full G. And it's important to note that the experience counts from when they got their G2. If they had 4 years of G1 and then got a G2, well, you have to have 4 years between G2 and G.
And your driver's license must say it. So the Ministry of Transportation must issue you a driver's license with the four little dots on the bottom, signifying that you've had 4 years of uninterrupted, I guess.
It's well because the time, if you were suspended at any time, wouldn't count towards that experience, suspension time. So yeah, Michael has called that freckles. They're freckles on the license. So if you have freckles on your license, those four dots, I think it's a good nickname.
Freckles.
Freckles.
Oh, okay.
If you got
I
the
can go with
freckles,
that.
those are four dots vertically oriented to the left of your mini-me photo in the bottom right-hand corner of your license, like because that's clear as mud. But anyway, if you have questions as to whether you are, you should not assume that you are, and you should confirm. Anyway, the question is, can you drive or practice parking? Blah, 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 blah. Can I practice driving in a parking lot with a G1? In a parking lot, that's private property. Technically, a license isn't required, but your insurance company, should anything happen, would not cover you because a G1 driver is not licensed.
Absolutely. So a G1 is just a learner's permit. In a parking lot, you don't lawfully require insurance, but anything was to happen, you would face civil.
It's contagious, isn't it?
Civil liability if anything was to happen there. So your insurance company may or may not cover you because you're not actually licensed.
Yeah, it's a complicated situation to some degree. So let's get on to the monkey question. And why are vehicles from factory allowed extreme tint while aftermarket cannot have light tint? Well, it's not your statement is inaccurate. Manufacturers cannot sell a vehicle with extreme tint because they must sell a vehicle that meets or exceeds the requirements of the Highway Traffic Act to be sold here. Now, can they have dark tint in the rear of the vehicle? Yes, because the regulated windows are the ones directly left and right of the driver and the windshield. So you'll notice that factory will not have a dark tint on the windows that the driver immediately left or right of the driver or the windshield. Now, if a dealership puts it on, is that factory? No, that's them sending it out to a local tint shop and adding tint. That's not legal. I see some interesting changes in some premium cars, like Mercedes, seem to have a green tinge to their front windshield, and I believe that's baked into the glass. I believe that's a different type of glass. I believe that it's approved, but I can't confirm it 100%.
Well, if it is truly come from the factory and nothing has been added or deleted from it, then yes, it would pass the Transport Canada approval process to get in. Light tint? Are you talking about headlight, taillight?
I think they mean just lighter, like that aftermarket tint that is lighter than the privacy tint in the back of
Gotcha,
SUVs.
okay.
I think that's where we're going.
Gotcha.
So
There you go.
yeah, if that answered your question, great. If it didn't, please rephrase and ask again because I want to make sure you get the answer you're looking for, or at least answer the question that you've asked properly. Can I wear AirPods while driving? We actually talked about, or I talked about that as we opened up, and the answer is technically in Ontario, yes. There's nothing against the law about it. Does it create a disadvantage? Does it block your hearing? AirPods in particular have something called a pass-through, or maybe there's another terminology for it, but the ability for you to hear outside of the headphone. It has microphones on the outside that allow you to hear ambient sound. If those are active, there's really no reason you couldn't wear it because you're actually able to hear all those early warning signs that I think are so important. But technically, nothing against the law about wearing earplugs. In fact, motor squad officers, motorcycle operators are it's suggested, encouraged to wear earplugs because there's such a risk of hearing damage if you don't. So,
And
yeah.
our motorcycles are not loud.
No, it's the wind noise. It's got nothing to do with the pipes. The pipes are behind you, and we're not loud motorcycles anyway. We have stock pipes, but it's the wind noise rushing against the helmet that causes such a problem for your hearing. Regardless if we're wearing a full face or a half helmet, really consider wearing ear protection. Our officers are actually issued custom fit hearing protection that blocks certain ranges, certain decibel levels, so they can still engage in conversation. Doesn't block out everything, similar to that of the headphones that we're talking about being AirPods. That block out certain areas. But I'll tell you that privacy, what's it called? The active noise canceling. That's amazing stuff. Have you played with it? Have you got any headphones that have them?
No, I haven't actually.
It's a mind-altering experience on an airplane when you hit the button, it goes and everything's silent because they have microphones that actually listen to the ambient noise and then create a counter pattern that blocks it. I don't understand the science behind
okay.
it.
I thought there was something new. My not AirPods, but another brand does that automatically. I've had that for a while.
Active
It is
noise
cool.
canceling. Not counseling. It doesn't cancel the noise.
Cancel?
It cancels the noise. Okay, well, lots of stuff coming in. Lots of stuff coming in. What do we got here? Just having a little peek. Okay. And by the way, if you don't know who this guy is, it's Sergeant Murray Campbell, who joins us regularly. So you should know if you're regular. But if you're new, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a police officer with the Toronto Police Service, and next to me is Sergeant Murray Campbell, and the two of us talk about stuff and things on a regular basis.
Stuff and things.
Yes,
Stuff and things to make you more knowledged.
knowledge.
Knowledged. Yep.
Okay, is that actually a word?
We're giving it out, so it makes you more knowledge.
You've been knowledged.
Yep.
I love the fact that we are able to impart, to share the information that we have. The goal of this is not only to make you safer, but really to educate you on what the law is. There's so much confusion in relation to laws. It's not written in a smooth, easy to digest way. It's kind of confusing, and it's taken a lot of time and learning and reading and understanding and discussions to really figure out and interpret everything properly. It is how we like legalese are generally left to interpretation. That's why lawyers have jobs. They write things in a way that it has to be translated for someone who is not well versed in law. Or reading that stuff to say, oh, blah 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 means you can't cross the street on a red light. Like it's just written in such a way that it's confusing.
Yeah. So we have the courts that make case law, and even something that you think is absolutely completely plain and simple to understand, somebody will make a decision somewhere where you kind of go, really, and it changes the way we do business all the time.
Yeah.
And we have to keep up to date on it because things change all the time. And in fact, sometimes we are the last to know when they change the laws.
Yes, and we're following the news and we're looking for things too. And as things change, and they always do, we are here to tell you how they change. So this is why it's a good idea to follow us and stay in touch and watch the show because the answers will change as the days go on. Okay, a bunch of questions that I flagged. I think I'm going to flag a few more, and then we're going to jump back to answer them. Because that's what we do. We answer questions. This weekend, Fan Expo. If you're going to be in Toronto, Fan Expo is underway from Thursday to Sunday. I will be at the MAD, the Mothers Against Drunk Driving booth, and we'll be talking about stuff and things there too. I may even do some live streaming. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, 22 questions in the hopper. Michael says, I'm in for minutes. I would be great for CMV inspection, especially if I go to truck and coach tech trade and apply as a Finnish apprenticeship. I think I don't even know what you're talking about.
Or put up on the screen there, just so we can.
Oh, I popped it back.
Oh, did you?
right.
Okay.
But let me see here.
We're just going to kind of read it to see if we.
We'll read it again, and it's likely me because sometimes I read things. Here we go. Okay. I'm in for minutes. This could be a Siri dictation situation where it got broken up. Lately I'm finding that Siri doesn't know me, doesn't understand me. I'll say things and things that don't make sense come out, and I send them, and people say, "What?" And I read it again. I'm like, it totally dropped the ball. Okay.
Yep. No, you got me on that one.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly what you mean. I'm sure
Michael
you'll
H.
rephrase it.
Yeah, I think you can do it.
Okay.
But if you're driving, don't try and retype it.
This is true. I don't think he's driving. He's probably on the train. Stephen Ashby. If you are driving on a 4-lane highway, 2 lanes each way, and someone is driving in the passing lane, is it illegal? So they're just driving the speed limit in the left lane because there's 4 lanes total. You got 2 in each direction. Is it illegal if they're impeding traffic because they're driving slowly in the left lane? Should they be in the right lane? Well, could you be ticketed in the right lane for impeding traffic? The answer is it depends. It depends what's going on. But simply being on the road at a speed that is legal does not mean it's illegal to camp in the left lane. The bigger problem is, and I think this is where people get really confused, passing doesn't allow you to exceed the speed limit. So if you're doing the speed limit, technically speaking, there's no reason for anyone to pass, right? Because everyone's doing the speed limit, no one should be going faster. But because people do stupid things and choose to speed, they need to have a clear path to do it. Otherwise, they make really, really bad decisions. You either make erratic moves to pass on the right or pass into oncoming traffic, and that is dangerous. So unfortunately, the lawful driver is in a position where they should be doing something to strategically make themselves the safest they can be and stay in the right lane unless they're actively passing. But very often when all lanes are full, it's because there's nowhere to go. We're all moving in traffic. So at that point, it no longer matters.
And Sean, just like the laws change, the Highway Traffic Act changes and the MTO signage changes as well. So we now have areas in the province where it is actually signed, where you keep right except to pass.
Mm-hmm.
And if you were not to do it in those sets of circumstances, you'd be eligible for a ticket for disobeying a sign.
Oh, interesting. Another additional area.
Lastly, if you're camped out in the left lane, we call you a left lane bandit. You know what? There are some people who are lawfully allowed
Police,
to speed.
ambulance, fire.
And there's an awful lot of times I get stuck behind somebody that just will not get out of the way. And you know what? It upsets me. I'm sure it upsets everybody else. And we don't want to be the cause of the road rage situation. So,
You know, in countries like Germany, which are very often mentioned when talking about the high-speed driving because of the autobahn, they have very strictly enforced the left lane to pass, and everyone just does it. They pass, they get back into the right, and nobody even thinks
because that's the rules.
because they actually follow the rules.
Yep.
It's amazing. Okay, question is: can you arrest someone if they're overly aggressive?
Depends.
It does depend. Wait, so there's aggressive and then there's assaultive and depends on where that really
Threatening.
falls in. Yeah. So if someone's being aggressive and they're raising their fists, that's assaultive behavior. That's not just aggressive. So there is a threshold. Does the person who the aggression is being directed at fear for their safety? Yeah. There's times when people will get arrested for being aggressive because they've actually crossed the line of just being aggressive and they're actually being assaultive.
And there are some legislation in Ontario that actually uses the words aggressive within the legislation. Safe Streets Act, for example. If you are soliciting on the street and you're doing so aggressively,
Like panhandling and
yep.
things like that.
Two things: there's an arrestable section under that act, and you could be charged. So if you're asking specifically aggressively, it all depends on the circumstances, the situation, and what others perceive it to be.
Perception is a big deal.
Yep.
Talking about threatening people. If you say, "Hey, I'm going to smack you," and the next person, first person says, "Ha ha, I'll smack you back," and but if I say I'm going to smack you and you think I'm going to come and smack you and have the ways and means to do it, that's a totally different threat. It's not a joke anymore. Daddy Habibi asks, what are the consequences of a hit and run? So I think we talked about this yesterday. If you jump in for a question and you don't hang out for the answer, and you might be new to the channel, you may have never been here before, but I kid you not, I think we discussed this yesterday. I think I looked it up yesterday and I pulled it up. But you think I remember the answer? No.
199, 200 of the Highway Traffic Act and Criminal Code should it warrant it.
199.
Fail to remain, fail to report, and possibly Criminal Code.
Mm-hmm. Now the question is, fail to report. I'm looking for fail to remain. So I wanted to look up to see what the consequences were. Did I even find it yesterday? No, I'm not seeing it here. Fail to remain. I'm just going to search it like this. Remain. Fail to remain. No set fine, which means the consequences are arranged from. I did talk about this yesterday. $400 to $2,000 and up to 6 months in jail. So and then there are potential additional things depending on what actually happened. And there's failed to provide necessity. Is that the one? Failed to render assistance?
Yep. Render assistance and fail to make the report. So yes, if you're involved in a collision, most times that people flee from a collision because they're doing something wrong. Not maybe the driving thing, but maybe they don't have insurance, maybe they're impaired. So the penalties for it are quite severe because everybody should. Hey, we know collisions occur. We know that they will not ever stop occurring. We want to lessen that.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? When it happens, we have to find out why and hold the people accountable that are causing them. So stick around. Sometimes the simple ticket is much easier than the 5 or 6 or the criminal code arrest that you get if you run away.
Here's a question about G2 and boat trailers or 14-foot boat. Can I tow a trailer with a 14-foot boat with a G2 license? You can.
Yeah, as long as your trailer is not over 4,600 kilograms, you're good to go.
Yeah, there are requirements, but those requirements are for all G. And technically, you could even do it with a G1, but the truth is that we don't want you to learn how to tow a boat while you're just learning how to drive a car. Focus on one thing at a time. Bad things happen when you overload, or at least the potential is there.
You know what, though? You do need some practice towing a trailer and backing a trailer.
but maybe not when you have your G1.
Maybe not.
And yeah. But a G2 is a probationary license that really gives you all the abilities to do everything, but you're still new. And focus on getting good before you get fancy. What do they say? Walk before you run, or learn to do that anyway. Chase wants to know if it's legal to buy a car, fix, clean it, and to sell it within 6 days to avoid sales tax. That sounds like a fraudulent
Curbsider.
curbsider who's looking to avoid tax that the government would be entitled to at each one of those steps. I don't know. I know you asked. You said, were you able to find out? And I don't think I understood the context exactly of the tax implications. If you're doing it specifically to avoid sale tax, you are looking to do something that's not necessarily illegal.
Absolutely. And if you were actually purchasing that vehicle, you're required within 6 days to put it in your name. You can't sell that vehicle to somebody else
When it's not in your name.
when it is not in your name.
So there's the answer.
So would that be fraud? Yeah, certainly could be.
I didn't think of it that way when we first had the question. I think there was a quick, can you buy and sell? You can't even sell it if it's not yours to sell. And you haven't put it in your name, so you can't. Yeah, it makes total sense.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you provide a used vehicle information package? How do you sign a bill of sale? How do you do all those things?
But it's to avoid tax in particular, which is where the biggest problem is probably.
Yep.
Here's a question. Can an e-bike, this is from Akila Jaconis, can an e-bike that doesn't meet the HTA requirements allowed to be used on private property and off-road bike trails? So if it's an electric bike / motor vehicle because it doesn't conform to the requirements giving it the title of e-bike, then it's a motorcycle and it's private property. And as long as you are legally allowed to operate it on the private property because you have permission, the vehicle owner, there's nothing wrong with having it on your personal property. Bike trails, though, would require it to be like plated. Dirt bikes require plates.
So they call it a green plate. It's not really. It's a green writing, green letters on a white background plate, which is an off-road vehicle plate. That plate doesn't have to be renewed in any way, but it does have to be plated that way. Just as a matter of aside, we saw an awful lot of those one-wheeled uniball kind of
Electric unicycles.
Yeah. I saw them yesterday when I was down at the CNE, and some people riding them. Didn't get an opportunity to catch up to them because they go pretty fast. But that's a perfect example of I'd like to try one. I think they're kind of neat. I think I'm going to fall down.
I would guarantee be in the hospital after that.
But I would have to do it on private property because they're not allowed on the roads and the streets anywhere in the province. So.
And they're unsafe motor vehicles, and we've charged the operators of those when they're involved in collisions. We'd charge them before they get into collisions, but we more often than not catch them when they're being, destroyed in a collision and the person is going to the hospital with broken legs and limbs and things. The collisions involving electric unicycles have been horrific. Obviously, if somebody falls down, it might be less serious, but people that are taking them, wearing them, I appreciate that they're wearing full body armor and motocross helmets because you're going to become a human
projectile.
Yeah, you're going to be, the guys that get shot out of rockets in the circus. That's essentially an electric unicycle rider. There's no brakes. There's no turning. I think it's a dumb vehicle.
I think they're kind of neat, and there may be a place for them somewhere to do something. I don't know. Maybe it's a sport. Maybe it becomes like
and
BMX.
Off road, go bananas. Anonymous 54 says, "What's the highest headlight lumen brightness for new cars?" I think the maximum. Why do I think the maximum? I think the maximum's it's 3,000 or 8,000. 3,000 or 8,000. It was 300 is the minimum to be considered a headlight. Maybe it's 3,000. But
It's not in lumen. It's in candela.
Candela. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
lumens and candela.
lumen is another measure of brightness.
Mm-hmm.
Color is a measure of a headlight as well. It's just quite literally the heat range is the color. But I think ours goes in
temperature.
candela.
Yeah. Which one is temperature?
Yeah, it's color. Temperature is color.
So so it's not lumens, it's candela. I think it's 3,000. That's maximum. It's 3,000 or 8,000. It's one of the two. I don't have the right answer for you.
And properly aimed.
That's the bigger problem.
Yeah.
So if a brand new car is coming out of the factory, it's being sold here, that vehicle had to have passed regulations to be sold here. It would be my assumption that it's a legal brightness. The bigger problem, and what we're seeing more often than not, is that the headlights are not aligned properly. Thus, they're going into your eyes and blinding you. And that is a problem, and that's something the driver is responsible for, even if they picked it up with the dealership and it's wrong. You are responsible as the driver for basically everything.
And sometimes just by overloading your vehicle, causing the front end to
Oh,
go
yeah.
up, especially with an LED light. So certain LED lights or certain projector style bulbs don't have a high and low beam.
Mm-hmm.
They actually have one beam, and depending on where it is projected, that is where the light shines. And if you have an awful lot of weight in the back of your vehicle, all of a sudden, on your what you think is your low beams have now become up into the range of where the high beam would actually be projecting and blinding everybody coming.
Not every vehicle has auto leveling, which would help prevent that. But yes, you overload your vehicle, and that also brings into other issues. You overload your vehicle, and your suspension is hanging, and you could be looking at things, but beyond that of headlights that are an issue. But absolutely would cause that problem. Yo Baby Yo has a question: is there a fine for to someone driving with their license plate is unreasonable when their license plate is
Unreadable.
unreadable? What did I say?
Unreasonable?
Yeah, totally unreasonable to be unreadable.
Yeah, there actually is, and there's more than one.
Yeah, you have to have, you can't have it dirty. You can't have it, what is the other word? Obstructed in any way. But if it's not legible, that's a problem.
Yep.
And it's
Or if you do it to try and confuse the identity of it,
Oh,
there's an
confuse plate.
additional charge.
Yeah, at the end of the day, there are a whole bunch of potential charges starting at $110. And all that can be avoided by ensuring that your plate is legible and obstruction free and clean. And that if it's absolutely damaged, $52 if it's not covered under warranty and you get it replaced. But if you continuously drive without with that legible plate, or you decide you're one of the people who don't want to have their front bumpers with those nasty plates that don't look cool, we might lay you the charge once, twice even. I'm probably going to send you to court the third time with a summons. Probably going to say you can explain to a judge or a JP why you don't want to comply with the simple rules.
Yep.
Just saying.
And you know what? There are sections within the act where if somebody continuously commits the same offense over and over and over and over again, it could be arrestable and the vehicle could be seized.
Mm-hmm.
So, depending on the offense, depending on the severity, usually people get the hint when they get a court summons and they actually have to go up and explain themselves why they continue to do it.
It's the escalation. That's what it's all about. So some people look at the original ticket. Sorry, JD sent a message. We'll come back to that in a second. So the thing is, some people say, well, it's only $110. I can afford that even if I get a couple a year, and they consider it a subscription plan. And that's not the right attitude, and that's why, historically, I'd see like expensive cars with front plates not attached, and it's just because they don't like the way it looks. It ruins the lines of their vehicle. So they paid $330 over the last couple of years to essentially rent that or pay for that fine, and then, well, now we send them to court, and that's the next level. And then if there's escalating measures, that's great. So what I got distracted with was the question from JD, who says 300 candela maximum 4 lamps. That is, well, it's not maximum 300 candela, but a 300 candela is what a headlight is. So you can have 4 maximum bulbs. I'm really curious of what the total maximum brightness per bulb is, and I think maybe it's 8,000. We're moving on. I don't know the answer. Can we turn right from the second right lane? Manny Sohal says, or asks, and wants to know.
Depends.
It depends on if that lane is a turn lane. It depends if it's safe to do so. If there's a sign prohibiting it, there's a lot of depends there.
Depends on the road that you're entering. If there's actually a second lane there for it.
Well, it has to be actually an appropriate lane. It has to be somewhere for you to go. Assuming there's 2 right turn lanes, there should be 2 lanes for you to go into. If you look at it, this usually only occurs. It's more often seen as an off ramp to a highway. That's usually when you'd see this, and it is where you would have to turn into the appropriate lane, and again, following any signage that's there. You couldn't be in the left turn lane making a right turn. It has to truly be, and I really think this is missing one question is on a red. I think that's usually when people want to know the answer to this, because obviously if you have 2 right turn lanes
and the light screen,
you would go.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the big thing you said there was you have to go in the appropriate lane.
Yes.
Is there a ticket if you do not go in the appropriate lane?
It's improper turn.
Multi-lane highway. And we see it all the time. You make a right turn and you want to actually make a left turn farther down the road. People, instead of turning in from the right lane to the right lane, will just go directly into the far lane.
Yeah.
That's an offense.
You want to get into the
Raise
gas
points.
station, people turn and go over 3 lanes to get into it. So it's a problem. It's unsafe.
Proper way to do it is turn into the appropriate lane when it is safe to do so,
Mm-hmm.
move over to the left, and then keep doing it until you get to your exit.
Yes.
And if you can't make it all the way over, then you go around the block.
It's amazing. There's options.
Yeah.
You mean don't kill someone or injure yourself because you're in a hurry and you didn't plan well? Better you should. And also follow. I would say dependency on GPS is a major problem. People do the darndest things. What they will do is make all sorts of last minute changes, which lead more often than not to collision. Because when you make a dramatic 3-lane change instead of taking the next lane and double backing because you don't want to lose 10 minutes of your day, we see people have just tragic results.
And could cost you more
Than the
than
10
that time.
minutes, yes. JD confirms it's 3,000. Regulations headlights should have a luminous intensity between 500 and 3,000 candela. There you go.
How do you test that? Do you have to get like 500 candles out?
I think what you do is you stare into the center of the headlight from 3 inches away, and if it hurts, I don't know. It's that ridiculously bright light. I don't know what the appropriate way to do is. Do you disassemble their car?
I'm sure there's a machine to test that.
Yeah, I don't have one. Yes.
It's surprising I don't either. 'Cause I
We
pretty
usually
much
have these
everything.
toys. Yeah. Have you ever, what is this? Have you ever arrested someone as a prank? That actually says pzink.
I think that's a purse neck.
Have you heard about a prindle?
A prindle?
A prindle.
What's a prindle?
It's what people have been referring to.
Oh my goodness. I know exactly where you're going with this. Park, reverse, neutral, drive.
Low. Yeah.
Low?
Drive low. Yeah. Drive a prindle. I watched a TikTok or something, and someone got in the car, and they're like, where's the prindle? There was a stick shift. They were completely lost. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Okay. Why does early resolution? Did we not answer
Well,
that
did
question?
you arrest somebody as a prank?
No. For a photo, did I allow them to pose close to handcuffs for a photo? But I've never put handcuffs on someone as a prank. I've never arrested someone. That would be a big problem.
That would be unlawful.
That would be a big problem. So no, the answer is I've never arrested someone as a prison
Or a prindle.
or a prindle. Why does early resolution take so long? It's been 1.5 years and still no update. You know what? This has been a very strange time in policing and courts, and that's all the recovery from COVID and the delays that were caused. It's not a fast process on any day, but it's really, really slow right now.
And the whole world knows that this delay is happening. They've actually created new limitations. So, Section 11B of the Charter of Rights allows you directs you that you should have a trial within a reasonable amount of time. What is that reasonable amount of time? Well, before COVID, it was a certain degree, and case law made what that time was. After COVID, they've adjusted it, and they've made.
I believe it was originally 1 year, and then it became 2 years during COVID, and I don't know where it's at now.
Yeah. So.
Oh, it's apparently 18 months now. There's a new ruling, according to JD, our producer who knows lots of stuff.
So yes, the Jordan ruling, and that is case law.
Cool. Good to know. So they said that it was 1.5 years now with no update. Maybe get some legal advice. And that's something we can't do. We can tell you what the laws say. We can tell you what we would do as police officers. We can't give you advice as to how to respond to your stuff. And that I think is important. And I don't say that nearly enough. I don't give advice where the people who give tickets don't help you get out of them. How many driving demerits for driving a commercial vehicle in the left lane? Well, there's
A commercial vehicle.
so there's like large trucks in the left lane. If there's a sign, well, that's disobeying a sign. That's not there's no specific offense that I'm aware of that says a vehicle of any size, shape, or otherwise can't be in a particular lane. My understanding is that's specific to signage that is posted. This was a question. Yes, we'll let
That's
it.
making me think. I think there actually is.
I thought there was. I grew up thinking there was, and then I was told that I was wrong. So then I've changed my tune, and we'll come back to this one. We'll let the good sergeant check the files, the book of knowledge. Okay, how many demerit points? We talked about this. Why is it that? Okay, we're going to take that one out because it's duplicated for some reason. There we go. Remove that. Earl Manabat, is it true that there are corrupt cops in Ontario? If so, is there an investigation going on for it? There are corrupt everybody in every field, in every place in the world, because they're people, and people at times can be corrupt. And those people, when found out, are investigated and held accountable. It's not a simple thing. Are there corrupt cops? There may be. I don't know any of them, because if I knew anybody that was corrupt, I'd make a difference.
There is nobody in this world that hates a corrupt cop more
Than a good cop.
than a good cop. Absolutely.
You know, those of us who dedicate our lives to making the world safer for the world safer, but the community that we serve safer, doing good things, helping people. We find someone who is preying on those people. It's not a good day for them.
So I did find the act.
Oh,
It's
you
Ontario
did?
Regulation 608.
I'm writing this down.
And it's prohibited use of the left lane on a King's Highway.
608.
Yep. It's $85 fine with a total payable of 110, 0 demerit points. But I guarantee you'd probably get the disobey sign one as well, which is another $110 ticket, and that would be 2 points.
So it's 608 prohibited use of left lane
Yep, on a King's Highway.
on Kings Highway. So what does it say that the prohibited use is? Does it say any 18-wheeler can't be there?
Well, it says no person shall operate a commercial motor vehicle or any combination of commercial motor vehicles and towed vehicles that exceeds 6.5 meters in length. So the combination can't be over 6.5. But it does say any commercial motor vehicle, except a bus, an ambulance, or a fire apparatus in the left lane, or where the left lane has been designated as a high occupancy vehicle lane, in the lane adjacent to the high occupancy vehicle
That is
lane.
very specific.
So it is. So if you do have a high occupancy vehicle lane on the far left, the one adjacent to it, right next to it, is considered to be the left through lane.
So I was given bad information and accepted it as true because I was told
there you go.
it was only if there was a lane, a sign.
And there you go. There's a second section that says prohibited use of the lane beside high occupancy vehicle lane on Kings Highway. Same section. Same
OREG
fine.
608.
There you go.
OREG.
I knew there was something there.
Well, I thought I was. I went to someone I thought was learned, and they gave me bad information. They don't work here anymore. Okay, probably because they gave me the bad information. Karma. How many demerit points for drive? We said. Oh, and so it wasn't. There was no demerit points for the 608, but for disobey sign, if a sign was present, it was 2 demerit points.
That's
Okay.
correct. Yep.
All right. Noise canceling. Okay, here it is. This is going back to a previous conversation, but Michael says noise canceling headphones have transparency, normal, and noise canceling modes. I would not use headphones while driving. That is definitely a good personal decision to make, but it doesn't change the legal status. Ryan Dow says federal finance minister, what's the name?
Christian Freeland.
Is that how she spells her name?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Christian Freeland
Christian.
was charged with speeding. If our leaders, politicians, and police do not follow the law, why should ordinary citizens? Well, this is a situation where a leader didn't follow the law but was unlawful at doing it, allegedly, and was held accountable by way of a charge. Police are permitted to exceed the posted speed limit in the lawful execution of their duties, and they are exempt according to law. That's actually a really good example of holding people accountable when they do the wrong thing.
Absolutely. If you were speeding and you got stopped, you would get the same ticket as the finance minister did.
And that's really, I think it's really good that happened. It just provides a perfect example of nobody gets a free ride. There's no necessarily a exemption just because you're somebody in a political position. It is interesting to see, and I know that in the States there were some really what's the word, uncomfortable situations that were published where judges said, "Do you know who I am?" and they still got charged. And the video of their dash cam was published because America has different laws. Yep. So very, very often when people try and get out of a situation because of their status, it doesn't work very well. Police officers, again, legally permitted to do that during the lawful execution of their duties. An ambulance and a fire truck, very specific when they're allowed. Like police have a wider range of opportunity to do it, whereas fire has to be going to an active call for either fire or emergency call, first aid type thing, because they go first responders as medical responders. Ambulance can do it when they're attending a call or when they're transporting a patient. But police just say it's wider. It's less specific.
But it's in the course of our duties.
Yes.
We can't do it on our own vehicles. We can't do it when we're going to Tim's.
Tim's, though, I mean, sometimes
Tim's is important. Tim's is very important.
still not an emergency, still not under the umbrella of being allowed to. And people, oddly enough, whenever I talk about this, say, "Oh, I always see them speeding to Tim's," and I have an answer for you. And this is a speculation only, but very often we are running to a call. We are legitimately going to something important, and before we get there, the radio comes up and says, or the dispatcher on the radio says, "Enough units here. All other units slow down." And then we have adrenaline that is absolutely got to go somewhere, and we pull off the road. Where better to pull off than to Timmy's, go to the bathroom, get a drink, chill out, because you need to. There is an adrenaline dump. It very often you're going to go get into something, whether it be save a baby, back up a partner, do something. So I can see that being reasonable, but it looks to the average person that we were speeding to Tim's.
Yep. I can tell you I've done it myself. Not specifically Tim's, although I do love Tim's.
Starbucks sometimes. No, you don't.
I know.
You're not a Starbucks human.
Goodness, no. I like my coffee to taste like coffee.
And not $5.
Yes.
We pay for our coffee. we call it Tim Hortons and $5. Those are the two options close by. It's not Starbucks. Okay, I have a question regarding banners in the AS1 line. AS1 marks the clearest section of glass. Yes? No. AS1 is actually the rating of the glass. So AS1, AS2, there's different clarity, is my understanding, different types of glass for the way it responds to breaking, whether it's tempered or if it is. Am I on the right thing here? Am I remembering correctly?
You're asking me?
Yeah.
I don't know. I actually don't know this one.
AS1, that's not possible. Come on.
I know.
AS2.
I actually don't know that. But I do know that the S1 line marking on a glass is a percentage of the total glass area from the top to the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a specific reason that they have the AS1 line marked on the glass.
So I can tell. Well, for instance, in a vehicle that was manufactured before 2017, the AS1 line marks the lowest you can have tint. Now, 2017 or newer, you can't have any, but that would be the one of the indications. You can't have it below that line. Let's see here. AS1, come on, glass.com, tell me what the answer is. It said something to the effect of laminated AS1, federal regulations. AS2 does not pass the impact tests. AS3 is typically of a darker tint and referred to as privacy glass. AS1 is the only glass to pass all safety tests. It is the only glass allowed for windshield use. There you go. There's probably more we can get out of that.
But we're talking about the AS1 line, not the rating.
The
that
line
glass gives?
itself, so we talk about that. Now, banners, you can't have banners on your windshield. You can't have banners anywhere that is in the sweep. And I think you're the one who said this to me, and I thought it was brilliant, so I've used it ever since. Anywhere that the windshield wipers touch the window, sweep the window, is an area that the vehicle manufacturer determined was an area needed to be cleared for you to see the road, for the driver to have a clear view of the road. So if you have a banner that obstructs any of that area, it is, I think, a clear indication that it's somewhere that it shouldn't be.
Absolutely.
But
and it's amazing. You listen to me.
I pay attention.
Wow.
Yes, and hold your information in high regard. Even. Let's see here. Took 3 hours to clear the vehicle fire. I posted on Telegram last night because nobody knew how to get out of the way for the fire trucks. Come on, really? We have a Telegram chat. If you're interested in joining us, you can go to telegram.trafficcop.ca. Chase, Michael, Akela, myself, we're there. It is not something widely adopted. We've just been chatting. It's one of those things where we share a lot of stuff and things and banter. You should join.
I should.
Let's see here. Are you allowed to accelerate fast at a green light but not go over the speed limit? We talk about this all the time. I don't know why people are so interested in doing this, but it is something we can certainly talk about. And that is, it's not safe. It's not speeding that you would be charged for. Could you be charged with stunt driving? Could be.
Racing, yeah.
Even if you're racing the clock, what are you doing? If there's no good reason to do it, why are you doing it?
It all depends on the circumstances, what's around, and why you're doing it. Can you be charged? Yes. I leave every morning at the same time, and there is a driver of it's a commercial van, and he is just a absolutely aggressive driver, but he never speeds. So from the stoplight, he squeals his tires, which
Is it illegal?
is unlawful, but he gets up to the speed limit and then stops. But I guess he's using his work van and his work gas, and he doesn't really care.
Well, because the average person has to know that when you do that, you're burning gas, you're wrecking your brakes, and you're getting everywhere at roughly the same time as everybody else. It's just dumb. Sorry, it's dumb. Doesn't make sense. I am the grandpa driver these days. I drive like the old man because I drive a big truck and I pay big truck gas prices, and I don't like paying for brakes earlier than I have to. And that means, yes, I'm cheap. And it's just because why? What benefit? I learned a long, long time ago when I was in high school or shortly thereafter that I wasn't getting anywhere any faster by driving fast, especially when it was just to get to the gas to the light. Is it a surge of adrenaline? Sure. That's probably why it happened and why younger people do it more often than not. But it's not a good use of your vehicle. And you scare people, and you could end up in a collision because someone figured they had time to make a turn, and whether you're right or wrong in the collision situation, it's a collision that you didn't need to be in that you're now involved in because you decided to accelerate just a little too quick. And what happens when you're accelerating quickly? You lose that opportunity to avoid situations sometimes. You could have possibly avoided had you just taken a breath, waited a beat.
Fast driver, that I am. But there's a place and a time to do it. And on the road is not one of them.
Tracks are amazing. Anyway,
Absolutely.
I've got to finish. I've delayed the publishing of a fantastic episode that I recorded with Adam from Drive Festival. I'm making it up now. Drive Festival celebrates driving. It is an amazing event that's taking place at the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, and they're bringing in exotic vehicles, and it's not a very expensive event to go to, but it's a bit of a drive out to the Bowmanville area. And I have this great podcast that I have to finish so I can post it up. But the video, one of the cameras kept going in and out of focus. I'm getting nauseous. So I think I'm actually going to post this without video, which makes me sad because it's some great video. But, that's a place where you own a fast car. You have a fancy fast car. You go there and you do the lap, and they're even renting out Lambos. You can do all sorts of. You should go to this. Your family, your kids would love this. It's in September.
My son last year, his favorite car, the Nissan GTR. I rented him a day on the track with the GTR because that's the place to do it.
Yeah. I'm sure that everyone who has a fast car would love to go fast all the time, but they probably also want to keep that car in their garage and not on the back of a tow truck. I saw a Lambo on the back of a tow truck yesterday. I wonder if it was because I went too fast or if it just broke down.
You know what? We unfortunately get an awful lot of very high-end cars that come sit in a dirty, dusty impound lot for 14 days.
Even makes us sad.
I go out because I'm the impound sergeant. I go out and see these ones. Go, oh, what a beautiful car! Too bad somebody didn't really want to take care of it.
Taking care of your car is not just polishing it. It's about how you drive it and what you do and where you do it. Okay, Bombastic says, do you have to use your right turn signal even when you're in a right turn lane? I find it always interesting. You are responsible for signaling your intention or to change direction or any move of your vehicle that could impact any other driver, and they may not know that it's a right turn lane. Or
any other person.
Any other person is true.
It doesn't have to be a driver, so it could be a pedestrian, could be a cyclist, could be
anyone.
Yeah.
So good point. The deal is that you must signal, and just because you're in a lane doesn't mean anything. We want to avoid having people guess what you're doing. We want them to know what you're doing, because you've communicated it. That's one of the reasons tinted windows are another thing. We also want the nonverbal cues. We're looking for drivers, when I'm a pedestrian, when I'm another driver, I'm looking for your eyes. I'm trying to see what you're doing. And even if you aren't acknowledging me, I am trying to see what you're about to do. I watch vehicle tracking, tire tracking, when I'm looking for impaired drivers and distracted drivers. I'm looking for minor oddities when the wheel isn't tracking properly. You're bouncing around in your lane. All these things are clues, and a signal is also a very clue. Actually, lack of signal is a great way to get pulled over for impaired driving, because it's these little things that people forget to do.
Don't forget to turn off your signal, though.
Yeah, that's another reason people get pulled over.
Yep.
Well, actually, no. Keep doing whatever you do, so we pull you over and charge you for impaired driving when you are, doing it unlawfully. Well, there's no lawful impaired driving. Moving on. Ahmed wants to know, or says, you said you give a summons for no front plate third time, but what is But what if it's a different car? Often I drive my clients' vehicles who don't have it. Do I just tell the JP it's not my fault? How do I earn money? Okay,
Don't drive them.
don't drive the car. You are choosing to drive their car with no front plate. You are the driver. You are responsible. You get the ticket, and it's your fault. And yes, if you continuously get charged, you are going to have that show up when we pull up your record, and you are probably going to get a summons.
I don't know what kind of clients you got, but
or what you're doing. But
maybe you should tell your clients.
yeah, yeah, it's that whole. I appreciate your car looks great, sir, but I can't drive this car without a front plate because it's not lawful. And earn money. Find someone who respects you enough to not put you in a situation.
Yep, because the court will take away your money.
Yes, happily. Let's see here. Unknown asks the question, why are Harleys allowed to have crazy loud exhausts, but sports cars are not? I don't know why you believe that they are allowed. They are not. They are like any other motor vehicle. They are required to have, not create unnecessary noise. Now, they may be louder to some degree because the fact that you have an engine with no cowling, with no nothing, just sitting there might make more noise than one that is, deeply nested in the inside of a chassis. But they're not allowed to be making unnecessary noise. And a Lamborghini makes more noise than a Chevette, usually. Mind you, if it was a Chevette from original, it's probably not in good shape. It might have a hole in the muffler. But what I'm trying to say is a V12 will make more noise than a V4. And is it reasonable that is making slightly more noise? Sure. But if they're redlining everywhere, that's unnecessary noise. So I reject your allegation. They're not allowed to.
And you know what? Many people say that, loud pipes save lives. And that is absolutely untrue. The sound comes at the back. So the people you've already passed now know you're there.
That you were there.
Yeah. It's not even reasonable.
I just realized that loud pipes are the equivalent of scratching your initials in the bathroom stall saying, Joe was here. Because that's all it is. You've left and you've just terrorized the neighborhood and made everybody else annoyed. But it doesn't do anything. I will say that even sirens, here's something that people don't understand about sirens. Police sirens do the most, or they are most effective with pedestrians in the community they're entering, because other motor vehicles are experiencing the same Doppler effect that everybody else on the road that is moving is. We're leaving the sound behind us. And if I am pulling you over on the highway or passing you as an emergency vehicle, listen, next time you hear a police siren, pay attention to how close they actually are. If you're in motion, if you're not in motion, that's different. Yeah. But if you're in motion, that emergency vehicle is probably 1 to 2 car lengths away from you before you even notice them. And that's how sound works. That's why technologies like the Rumbler, or something like that, is a different type of a siren that is supposed to do better, and it changes the way it works.
You know what? Our sirens are mounted on the front of the vehicle, let alone a couple of exhaust pipes out the back. So if you think you're proving anything, making it safer, you're definitely not.
No, but people are adamant. They are so angry. Oh, you're putting me at risk, not allowing me to. Anyway, Dr. Nick, is TPS allowed to turn their lights and sirens on for a kid waving out the window? I can tell you that regardless if we're allowed to, I've done it many, 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 many times because making a kid smile makes my day. And if I get in trouble for it, so be it. Is there a rule saying that we cannot activate a siren or lights in a safe environment to make a kid smile?
You know what? I guess if we were to cause an accident,
we'd be responsible
by doing that, then absolutely. But, part of our job is community engagement, like we're doing right now.
Yes. Chase says, my friend had a careless charge dropped at 13 months simply because of time. So I wonder if it varies. You know what? It all comes down to the judge or JP, the application, and every situation is different. Maybe they made a case because it is an application. You don't just say, here's the button, it's 13, it's expired. You still have to make an application for 11B. You still have to go before and say, this is not right. I'm entitled to, a speedy trial type thing. Every situation is going to be different. Apparently, he's taking credit. He found it first.
What the heck?
Hey, listen,
We
He's
talked about that 10 minutes ago.
yeah, well, yeah, I didn't check the timestamp, but you know what? It's I love it that we have an engaged audience that is and Chase and Michael in particular engaged in finding stuff because they're always trying to challenge and push the envelope, and I do appreciate you all. Let's see here. Okay, we talked about there's a couple of things, and we're gonna bail. Remind you that there is no show tomorrow. I am not at work tomorrow. I think I will have a podcast ready to play at 10 o'clock. So if you want to watch it at 10 o'clock, you can. If you want to listen to it, it'll be available in audio form right after I publish it, which will be tonight. So the video will play at 10 a.m. tomorrow. The audio will be available along with the replay of this episode. It'll be available on podcast apps everywhere. Apple Podcast, Spotify. It'll be available on TPS Traffic Jam, which is, all of them. Okay. So a couple of things we'll blast through, and then we'll say goodbye. So anybody watch Star Wars last night? The Ashoka, is this the new, like not animated, but the actual new series is out? Because I know what I'm doing tonight if that's the case. I'm watching that. So I did not know it had released. Yeah, I thank you for that heads up. We have Max Murphy question. I have broken collarbone and I'm in a sling. Can I legally drive with one arm? If your doctor has told you not to, I would not drive. Now, that doesn't mean you have a suspension. Medical suspension is different. But if a doctor has told you you shouldn't drive, don't, because their notes will say that they told you not to. If you get into a collision and your insurance company goes after your medical records, they may not cover you because you were told not to and you did.
You have to use common sense with that as well. Okay, even if your doctor doesn't mention it to you, can you operate the vehicle safely? Can you work all the controls safely? Has your vehicle been modified to accept you operating with one arm?
Well,
there are people out there that have full driver's licenses that operate, that have been amputees, things like that. There is ways to do it. You have to do it correctly, and if you are not doing it correctly, and you're putting yourself and others in danger, yes, you could get it.
You have to be safe. And it has to be safe, not just because I can do it, I can make it happen. Like if you have a center column shifter and it's your left arm that's out of your right arm that's out of commission at night, to shift and put it in park, you have to reach over. You have to be honest with yourself. Are you being safe? And if you get into a collision because you were not honest with yourself, is it worth it? If you take someone's life, is it worth it? The question from Ontario Drone is, have you ever gotten a traffic ticket? Yeah, when I was a kid, when I was learning to drive, I know of 1, 2, maybe even 3, a stop sign and at least 2 speeding tickets. Those really did motivate me to change my driving. I mean, I was 16 or 17 years old, and I don't think I've had one since. But the stop sign one, holy moly, I didn't even know I had blown the stop sign. In fact, I didn't even challenge it. I didn't question it. I'm like, there was a stop sign? And the funniest thing, and I tell this story all the time, and he's annoyed about hearing it, but a police officer from York Regional Police by the name of Sean wrote me that ticket, and every single time I see him, I still remind him of the fact that he did it, because I know him now as a police. We're both police officers. It's funny, more for me than anyone else.
I got an amber light ticket.
Really?
Yep, and I knew the police car was right beside me, and it kind of freaked me out. I was younger. I was just a new driver, and the light went amber, and they were able to stop in time, and I went through, and I got the ticket for it, and justified, absolutely justified, and I just paid it.
You know what? That is the perfect example as to when and how to demonstrate when it's safe and possible to stop. If you are the person hitting the gas and going through an amber, you are giving a perfect demonstration as to why you should deserve a ticket. Because if you're doing the speed limit and you're responding like every other car that managed to stop, but you're the only one that went through, that's great evidence.
Yep, absolutely.
The question from Pete. Some people have dice or other things hanging from their rearview mirror. Is it legal? And the answer is it's an obstruction of the driver's view. And, one green tree scent situation or a tiny set of dice may not be a problem. But if you've got a collection of 40 things and Pokemon cards and you also have, it becomes too much, and it is an obstruction of your view.
Well, people that drive around with their GPS or their cell phone on a holder right in front of them. Mm-hmm. Is that reasonable? No, it's absolutely an obstruction.
Yeah,
your rear view mirror is an obstruction to properly see out the front, but it's an acceptable obstruction as determined by the manufacturers of the car, and then the regulatory government that says yes, you can do it because it has a better
It's a
purpose.
safety benefit.
Yes, it's minimizing the front portion that you can see, but there is a benefit to the back, and that is more important when you're operating.
I wonder how many people realize that that most, if not all, rearview mirrors articulate, and you can raise the whole apparatus higher to give you a better view. It
do
depends
that.
on your height. I know that too, because and you know what? When I make certain turns, I have to duck to be able to see under it for safety. If you just drive with that obstruction, you're putting yourself at risk, and others as well. Okay, there's a dad joke here.
And I
But
think we're done.
We are definitely done. Before this dad joke, it was still under the threshold. So, how fast can police go when they are in pursuit? Well, it's not a speed limit, it's a safety determination. We have to determine and consider the safety of the public and the dum-dum who's running from the police in the situation, because we don't want them to get hurt as much as we want to catch them. We have to be reasonable, and that speed has to be reasonable. Also, a pursuit is a funny thing. We don't want to push them to go faster. We want to follow them to get their information and eventually convince them that we're not going anywhere and that you have to pull over. And it's not about going faster. We don't want to make people go faster. So there's
All depends on the offense. All depends on the seriousness. If somebody is a murderer that is going to has somebody tied up, bound in their car, and they're going to kill them, I'm going to go a little bit faster because it's more reasonable, because there's an imminent risk of bodily harm or death to another person that I know of. If it's for I was going to say a val tag, which is a validation sticker that we don't have anymore. But if your plates are not, you forgot to update your plate on your birthday and it's a couple of months overdue, I'm not going to chase you. But you better believe I'm going to meet you at your house. Or I'm going to get a friend up the road, because we have really, really quick radio transmissions, that's going to be able to stop you up there.
what is this?
I don't know.
Dr. Nick says, how can you say speeding tickets change your behavior if you got two of them? I got two of them when I was 16 or 17 and never again. That's how I mean that speeding tickets changed
Changes
my behavior.
because his insurance went up through the roof.
Yeah, so 3 tickets in a lifetime of driving for over 30 years. I think it changed my behavior. I became a very reasonable and safe driver. I think had I not, I could just kept getting away with it. They were not extreme. 15 kilometers over, I think, were both of the tickets. It was not me being an umpty. Someone says I missed their question. I'm scrolling back quickly here.
And if you got a ticket that was 15 kilometers over,
You might have been going faster.
we know you were going faster.
Not necessarily.
No, two of them at exactly 15 over.
Well, I don't remember exactly. I was 16 or 17. It's a little while ago.
I'm calling you out on that.
That's okay. What is this? Hi, Sean. If someone does not share their insurance details on a private property, can I call police? And if the driver leaves before the scene, is it failed to remain? Yes.
Yes, collision reporting and failing to remain both apply to private property.
Yeah, that's
There's not very many sections of the Highway Traffic Act that do apply to private property. That one definitely does.
and let's see here. There was a couple that I flagged. One's a dad joke. Oh, and Chase says, Sean said V4, and I'll tell you why I said V4. Motorcycles. There are V4 motorcycles, and that's why
Where did you say V4?
I said V4 earlier when I was talking about exhausts.
Oh,
So he threw him for a loop, because where's there a V4? Are there V4 cars too?
not currently, I don't believe.
Well,
There may be some European smaller cars that
I'm
could've.
pretty sure that my
past.
reference is motorcycle related.
Yeah.
But I'm also not trying to be super technical accurate when I said V4. This is a good one. And it is, hey, I got a camera ticket. Sorry, hey, I got camera tickets, but it wasn't me who was driving. What do I do? You pay them, because if it's your car, you're responsible.
And you obviously gave the car to the wrong person.
And
Because
if
they're
they-
driving your car
Yes.
going through red lights.
And if
Or
they,
speeding, whatever one it is.
and if they don't want to take responsibility for it, even though you know that was the date and time that they had the car, hopefully you keep records of stuff like this, then they're not people worth being in your life, would be my take. Just saying. Okay.
And if they're going to risk you and your insurance, getting into collisions.
Because although the automated enforcement cameras don't change your insurance status, they don't create a situation for you there. It means that they're doing other things that could result in a collision, which could result then in your insurance going up. Okay, dad joke time, starting with one from the Grinch. On what show do police officers solve crimes by garden gnomes? Lawn and Order. It's not bad. There was one, I think, from Zombie, too. Was there not? Oh, yeah, there is one here. First of all, the Grinch also said, someone caught a nice tan. I think they're talking about you because I'm like paper.
Yeah. Well, I was off for a week or two. Spent some time at the cottage, hanging out in the boat. Got some tans.
Here's a dad joke from Zombie. I was told I should do lunges to stay in shape. This would be a big step forward. Or that would be a big step forward.
I like it. I like it.
Yes. I have my Wednesday, August 23rd
Sean,
joke.
do you want to hear a joke about construction?
Sure.
Never mind. I'm still working on it.
August 23rd, I got hired as a security guard, and my boss told me that it was my job to watch The Office. I'm on season 8, and I still can't figure out what this has to do with security. That is not bad.
It's not good, but
I won't give it any sound effect then, but I like that because it's television related. I like television. I won't be here tomorrow, so I'll read tomorrow's dad joke. I was on a blind date with a man named Heath, and when I told him that my name was Heather, he said, "This isn't a competition." That's the worst thing I've ever read.
I don't get it.
I don't get it.
Heath and Heather?
Heath and Heather, is that like, maybe it's an English term for Heather and I don't know.
Yeah.
I honestly have no idea. But I am thoroughly. This is going right in the garbage. I don't like that one. Thank you so much, everyone, for spending time with us. We've had fun, as we always do, chatting with you and answering your traffic and police questions. Back on Friday to do it again and celebrate Friday, which is really just another show that I like making a name about. Let's see here. Oh, why did the Scarecrow become a police officer? He was outstanding in his field. Yeah, that was all right. So see you on Friday. We'll play the Song of Songs, the traffic song, the way we end every episode. But see you Friday, and stay safe. And then until then, drive sober.
Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow. Watch for pedestrians, look out for bikes, and don't drive like a jerk that no one likes. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Put down your cell phone, nobody needs you to text and drive on the DVP. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Stop at stop signs, look both ways, then go. Seatbelt, save your life indeed. And watch your driving, don't speed. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely is the way to go. Don't drink and drive or smoke some weed, because you might go to jail and not get free. Yellow light, red light, green light, go. Driving safely helps the traffic flow.
The Wookiee says it's time to hit end.